Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is January the 11th. Actually, this date is kind of metaphysical itself. It's all ones. So 1 for January, the way they're calculating January, 11, and then 2018. That's very important. Realize the number year 2018. If you add the 2 plus the 0 plus the 1 plus the 8, that equals 11. 11, 11. 11 means manifestation. So this in itself is a powerful year. So with that said, we have a great show planned for you tonight. I wanted to conclude from our show last week. We did 2017, The Rise of the Woman. So we didn't get through everything, and there was some more powerful information that I wanted to come across to the family, so I didn't want to cut it short. So we're going to pick up where we left off from last week. Before we go in, I'm going to bring in Brother Sean and Sis. So let me bring them on just a second. Greetings, brother. How are you?
Greetings, beloved sister. I'm well. Just excited to get it on.
I know. I definitely didn't want to cut the family short because we were going in last week. So I want to get this last jewels out to the family. So glad to hear your voice. Okay, let me bring on Sis Sandra. Here we go. Greetings, sis. How are you?
Greetings to you both. I am doing wonderful. You hear my voice is much better.
I was going to say you sound a lot better. I'm so glad.
Yes. A lot of people dying, so.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. It says some doggone epidemic, but, if you notice, anytime they have these storms, which, some of them may be manufactured, some of them may be caused by Mother Earth herself, but we do know that they spray a lot of crap in the air.
Especially
so what I'm trying to
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. So if you notice the pattern with outbreaks of flu, colds, and all of that jazz, is usually after some type of big storm. And half the country, over the last 2 weeks, it's just starting to warm back up. But we were iced up.
Right.
So. Doesn't surprise me. Plus, I know the West Coast, you all are having a lot of drama in Cali with mudslides and all of that. But interesting. I'm sorry, sis. I didn't want to cut you off.
I said, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because Brother Sean and I, we're in the same state. He's just further up north than I. But now, it was, I don't know about you, Brother Sean, but it was close to 60 degrees here today, so about 57, right?
Right.
Why did I feel
this weekend is supposed to drop to 8.
Yep, I think it's starting tomorrow night, yeah. So,
the Midwest.
But, hey, check this out, though, y'all. Why was there still a pile of damn snow on the ground? Am I missing something?
No, what about?
No sun to melt it?
I mean, 60 degrees, 57 degrees, plus it was raining. Get the F out of here. That's
no simulator
part of
heated?
that artificial show. Snow, huh?
Mm-hmm. No simulator to heat it?
Yeah, well, that's part of it, too. But I remember when I was in Atlanta, a couple of years ago, Atlanta had that storm that literally shut the city down. Folks were stranded on the so-and-so expressway, had to sleep in their car, this, that, and the third. Okay, so I was at home chilling with my heels kicked up because I already knew what time it was. But I literally went outside. So by birth, I'm a northerner. So I know what snow feels like. I know how snow is supposed to behave. So I went out and gathered some up. Now, my little badass dog at the time, what made me do it, because my badass dog at the time didn't want to take his ass out in it. So I thought he was being spoiled. But it was something about the way he kept lifting up his little paws. I said, this damn dog get on my nerves. So anyhow, I scooped up the snow because I kept seeing people put videos on YouTube trying to burn it. Sure enough, I scooped that shit up. It did not melt with the water falling down. It melted like plastic. So I'm saying all that to say there is no way that it's supposed to be close to 57 degrees out. And it was raining, and you still have a pile of snow. No, I'm not buying that. So it was part snow and part some type of whatever material they spraying in this damn air, which is probably also impacting a lot of our respiratory systems as well.
They do plastic. They do plastic.
Yeah, well, that's what it seems like to me, that it's mixed with plastic. That's what it seems like.
You got to remember, at them ski resorts, they make snow. So they got the technology to make snow. And that stuff looked like pellets. Yeah, it looked like pellets. I remember when it used to be snowflakes, different sizes, and no snowflake alike. You don't see that anymore.
Yep, every snowflake is supposed to be unique. Absolutely. And it's light and fluffy until you get so much accumulation. So very, very interesting stuff. Okay, so just a real recap from last week, y'all, because if you didn't get an opportunity to join us last week for part 1 of 2017, The Rise of the Woman, I encourage you to give it a listen. I haven't had the chance to put it out on YouTube yet. I'll get it done over the weekend, but you can go to Blog Talk and go in the archives and listen to it online that way. So we kind of went in a little bit about all of the things that are showing up over these past couple years. It's been building, but specifically 2017 and going into 2018, how you are going to see them behind the scenes working to harvest the new energy of the divine feminine, okay, because that's the age that we are on, bringing back in the matriarch energy, rulership, etc. Okay, so we kind of went in and dissected the engagement of Prince Harry and the melanated mixed chick from Compton. We talked about that, not only is that a spiritual thing, trying to take advantage and harvest that melanated divine energy, but it's also tied to trying to marry, quote, quote, back into the wealth of the Americas, okay? Because any wealth on this planet comes through the woman. End of story. That's the way it always has been. It may appear that it's not happening now, but trust and believe, behind the scenes, it is still happening, okay? So we went over the real 2-component reasons why we feel the engagement of Prince Harry is going on. Now, we also talked about, just real quick, the whole gay and lesbian and transgender movement. We've talked about that several times on this show, but just to reiterate, there's also several components to that as well. Now, some of the components off the bat, those of us that study spirituality or, quote, quote, the conscious community, it's a damn shame that has become a dirty word now, conscious community. They piss me the blank off. But anyway. The 2 components to it, the first component is it very well could be an agenda of, quote, quote, the 1% trying to depopulate the planet, and particularly depopulate the melanated community. So that's the easy one. The spiritual side to it, it is an energy thing, because as we came into what was known as 2012, what they listed on the calendar as 2012, that was really issuing in a new age, okay? And with that, anytime we enter into a new age, which, by the way, is how our ancestors really calculate what we are calling time, which is really just a frequency. And the way they calculate it is based on astrology.
Right.
The position of what they call planets and stars, which are really just energy centers. That's how our ancestors calculated time. They could look at those heavens, and based on the positions of those particular stars and the zodiac, they could tell you what age we're going into and what associated energies come with that. So 2012, as that particular new age was starting to be ushered in, we were coming out of the, quote, quote, dark ages into the golden ages, the golden age, which meant, and they also said the age of Aquarius. So that meant the usher in of information. That meant the ushering in the unlifting of the veil. So all hidden things would be uncovered. And then, more importantly, as we continue to get deeper into the new age, would be the return of the Matriarch society. So with that said, the gay, lesbian, transgender bombardedness that we are currently seeing, some of the people on the planet are not processing these new energies that are coming in. Okay, so it is confusing their system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and one of the brothers, I think it was, we went over videos, and we're gonna start back with him tonight. Brother Natural Tahuti spoke on that as well, and I was glad he spoke on that because I had been saying that for years, that a lot of this homosexuality and things that we are seeing is how people are processing energy. And he also went as far to say that the men, some of them are remembering, that is their way of processing, remembering that divine energy. Okay, so we also went over that of the agenda, or the reason why we are being bombarded this time on the planet with the gay, lesbian, and transgender movement. And then the other piece of the puzzle, remember, anytime a society, an empire, let me use the correct words, an empire is on its downtrodden, you also saw a lot of the gay, lesbian, and transgender, if you look at Rome, etc. So that is also symbolism of the fall of the U.S. court empire, because it is just a repeat of that Roman Empire as well.
Right.
Okay.
You know, I want to interject one thing. They tried to use the Asiatic feminine energy, talking about running for president. You heard that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, girl. Now, you know that's why I also wanted to do the part 2, because we're minding our business, and what was it, a couple of days later, that Oprah stuff came up. I'm like, see, I know that we're right on key, so, I mean, if you want to expound on that a little more, sis?
Well, she gave some kind of speech. I didn't listen to it because I don't want to be hypnotized myself.
Right, with the bull S.
Yes. And she gave this global Golden Globe Awards speech, and she's trying to capitalize on the Me Too movement of assault, sexual assault, and the feminine energy that you can't stop us now, baby. We're coming. So I'm sure that's what she's pretty much saying. And so they have to turn the planet back into the melanated people, because, you know, it's our time to rise, because we've been down. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. So we're there, and they are using her energy because she's popular and she's Asiatic. I think they wanted to use Clinton, but they used Trump instead because they thought he could be a better candidate than Clinton because of her reputation. But now they're focusing on Oprah. So her energy, unfortunately to me, is tied to bad things. And I don't think she's part of the 1%, you know, on the outskirts. So her energy won't help us like they think it will. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb on that one, because she may be popular, but that energy is not going to work, because she's already given her energy to the source that's not very good.
Right.
She has negative energy.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, you can go ahead. I was just going to finish off, but that's okay.
Yeah, you brought up a very good point, because of course I had that on the list tonight to discuss that, freshly out the gate, they come with Oprah giving this quote poignant speech, okay? And clearly the speech was the speech that would set herself up for talks for a presidential candidate. Now, of course, I don't look at those bull crap awards. I only caught the tail end of the highlights of the speech that she gave. And what stood out to me, she took directly from the spiritual community.
Mm-hmm. That magic.
Our time, their time is up. I sat up, I said, oh, wow. So y'all really monitoring what the spiritual community is saying, so you can see truly where the vibration is moving. That was clearly taken from the spiritual community. The spiritual community has been saying that all through 2017. I personally have been saying that all through 2017. So I automatically peeped game and knew what time it was, them trying to harness the energy of the divine feminine coming back on, and exactly what you said, sis, using Oprah as that vehicle. But I 1000% agree with you. Her intentions will not be pure. And I'm going to segment to say it don't matter what the hell she's going to do or what she's not going to do. Because at the end of the day, this is about frequency/vibration.
Exactly.
And if you are not in tune with that higher frequency or vibration, it don't give a damn who you are or who you allegedly connected to. If you're not connected to the source, to mama, it's ass out for you. But, yes, very good observation, sis.
Oh, yeah, but also just look at the initials of her network, OWN. Is that because they own her? Or if you turn the letters around, NWO?
New World Order.
Or did they think that they won?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's not going to happen. So,
not at all.
Right. So, hey, if they want to knock themselves out, knock yourselves out, but you cannot tap into the higher realm. Now, I think the purpose is to divert others from tapping into self to get on the frequency of the higher realms. To me, that's what that is. It's a distraction.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with stopping on what's going on, because it cannot be stopped. So I'm sorry, sis, go ahead on.
You see the letter that they took the distraction to, though, because her and Tyler Perry then hooked up. He got shows on her network.
Oh,
so they keeping the melanated people distracted.
Right.
Foolishness.
Right. And that's exactly what it is, foolishness. So yeah, I saw the Oprah thing too, and I automatically knew what time it was. And again, until people, and let's just look at that overall, because we talk about that a lot on this show, with the populace still having a Messiah complex. Okay, so, we have to enter and understand and look at it for what it is. We typically think about the Messiah complex of coming out of the churches. That was the original indoctrination. And most people still have not broke that psyche. And they carry it from, okay, well, I'm not going to fool with the church no more. Now I'm into spirituality. A lot of them bring that same mindset of somebody saving them or they need to follow someone. That is still the Messiah complex. Anytime you're looking outside of self, you are making somebody, something your Messiah. That also carries over into politics. It's the same thing, because it should not matter if Oprah stood up there butt naked and, as my grandma said, did the Watusi backwards. That has nothing to do with your spiritual journey, because you are a creator. If you want a better world, create it yourself.
That's right.
Okay, so, but, and most of us probably already know this information, but we just want to keep you mindful of everything that we have discussed, everything that we are creating, of making the higher realm a place where we will be. They know exactly what's going on, and put the distractions out there to distract folks from going within self, to get them on the frequency to free them, because only you can free you. Nobody else can free you.
But you know that we've gotten not only to the feminine energy, but we're also into the creative energy. It's going to be there no matter what they do. They cannot stop the changes that's coming into the planet, into people, when awareness of self takes over. Because people are waking up. The spell of the Leviathan, or whatever they want to call it, whatever magnosphere they use to keep people submissive and docile, it's over.
Right.
And they're gonna have to give it up.
Right. And it's interesting. As I said at the beginning of the show, when I was doing the intro, with the date today just being 1/11 and then 2018, I thought about just the year in general, with their calculation of 2018, because that's not the real calculation. But okay, that's the year you want to put on it. Oh, okay then. So the numbers itself, 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8 equals 11. It's manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So, which means, I mean, and it didn't have to be the year of 11 for you to manifest what you want, but we are just showing you yet again how powerful these spiritual realms are, and how you are responsible for creating the things that you want, what you need, what you want to see, what life you want to live. You have that power to do so. It's not about what somebody else is allegedly going to do. So just pay attention to the signs and the symbols and tap into the vibrational energy to make it happen for you. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All righty. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Sean.
Mm-hmm. What's the first two letters of Messiah?
Me, right? M-E.
Exactly.
That's what it's about, right?
That's who you're supposed to be looking for. That's the Messiah you're looking for.
That's right.
Me is Ayah.
That's right. That's right.
I want to say something about
outside itself.
That's right. I'm sorry.
I want to say some astrological stuff. I was listening to this astronomer, she's a astrologist, and she was giving people their fortunes on one of them rents networks, and she said the planets are aligning at 60 degrees, like Uranus and Jupiter, and the energy for creativity And for financing, if you have a business already ready to go, good to go, it's time to launch it, because this is that time, because the planets are aligning. And like you just said, our ancestors used astrology to tell what's going on, and so these people calling in and asking her about, well, what is this a good time? And they gave her birth dates and all this kind of stuff, and she said, yeah, the planets are in, and from now to March the 5th is the window, because there's a surprise coming to this planet. We all pretty much know what that surprise is going to be. But this is the time to make progress in your financial business life right now for most people, she said. So they're looking at it. They're looking at that creative energy.
And it's interesting that you say that, because all of the U.S. court presidents, all of them use astrology. Do not let them fool you. Any of those so-called 1%, they are behind the scenes when those different solstices happen, the spring, the winter solstice, etc. They ask behind the scenes, getting a manifestation mantras in play to harness that energy.
Mm-hmm.
They have no special magical MF powers. They use the science. They are no different than you. Actually, you are much, much better if you're resonating at a higher frequency to make it happen for yourself. Okay? So it is the exact same science that they are using. So that's a very good point, sis.
one more
thing. I'm going to let it go.
No, I said that's
one more thing.
That's if they're still around.
They won't be. They won't be. No.
The executive order that Trump drafted was on my birthday, December 21st. My birthday.
And so what isn't there a significance to that date?
Yes. That was a very good date for him to do that executive order to take down the factions, quote unquote, that they have all those orders out there to seal arrest warrants, indictments. They have about 10,000, 9,400 of them out there. They're sealed, but that was the day that he did that, and that was a good day for him to do that, because the winter solstice and the Capricorn into whatever, Sagittarius, the planets were in line on that particular day.
Yep, that's exactly. So you just proved the point. Exactly what we talked about, how real time and the time, actually our ancestors really didn't think of time as how it was taught to us, linear. Okay? It was all about frequency and energies. And based on those frequencies and energies, they named the ages. Okay, and these folks have been using that science, because that is still science, to their advantage, and has given the world, I won't even say watered down, I'm just going to say straight up inaccurate, looking outside of self, and then reversed everything. Okay, so even with the hidden history of women, okay, meaning that women being the first beings on this planet, women being the first beings that were that divine feminine energy being worshipped, the first temples and deities were feminine. And that's because this is a feminine realm. All life starts as feminine. And that's another thing we talked about last week, as Brother Aleem and Brother Natural Tahuti in the videos literally went over the biology of how, all things on this planet start out feminine. Very, very interesting stuff. So none of this is by accident. Where the woman, the matriarch society was destroyed, and what was created was the patriarch society. Okay? And I'm willing to bet that once that takeover started to happen, and it was through various different wars, we talked about that as well, the vibration level of the planet fell as well. And that is one of the reasons this whole society as a whole is falling, because that patriarch system cannot survive, cannot sustain itself, because it's not inclusion, it's not balance. The symbol of balance is the woman, Mayat. Not a set of balls, the woman, Mayat. Okay, so we're also going to kind of get into tonight. I ran across some information, and it was interesting because Sis Cheryl, I saw her post that I think this morning, or could have been yesterday, and who knows, we could have been looking at the same information at the same time, because what sparked me was Sis D emailed me, because I think she said she got it off of the show Lucifer, and it's on Fox, and I'm behind on that show. I don't have time to watch a lot of stuff, but check out that show, because you'll see different things, and they put a lot of metaphysics in it. Of course, they got some bullshit entertainment stuff, but they do put a lot of metaphysics and science. So she was saying on one of these particular episodes, they were talking about the first Lucy being a woman. So meaning the first remains, they named those remains Lucy. Okay. So, of course, I thought about it. Even Sis D said she thought about the movie Lucy, which is a good movie. If you've never seen it before, go check that movie out. Very, very powerful. A lot of science dropped into it. So anyhow, then I'm just doing a little searching on the name Lucy. I did not know that Lucy, the name Lucy, is a derivative from the name Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh shit, now I get it. Because Lucifer, that name, we know means what? Morning star.
Exactly.
Okay. So I thought about, the first thing I thought about, that's right, because that's what they show you in the Statue of Liberty. So that Statue of Liberty is showing you as that woman being the morning star, the light bearer. Lucifer. Okay, so let me bring this up. Go to trusty Wikipedia, and I didn't type this into Wikipedia. It just so happened come up when I was researching on Lucy.
I want to throw one thing in.
Absolutely. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
You know, the Statue of Liberty is an Asiatic woman, right?
Yes, because Frings gave them the statue. Now, okay, see, now you done started it. Okay, so
I think you get it.
So, what had happened was, Friends had gave the U.S. court a Statue of Liberty that was a melanated woman. But them being who they are, they wasn't going to put that one up front.
With the chains, no less.
Right, with the chains. Okay? But they still wanted to harvest the energy of the divine. So they still put that woman out there as the light bearer on that port of show you that they know exactly what the hell is going on. For 2017, and it's a limited collection, you can go to the U.S. Mint. They have that melanated coin for sale. They have a gold coin. It's like $1,700 per coin. And they have the silver coin, $50 or $60. The exact same melanated woman with the locks, put up all pretty like the little Statue of Liberty shit is, with the stars around her head. Okay, the exact same light bearer original statue that France gave. Okay, so we've talked about this before. When that coin hit for sale, and it's always sold out, family. It's jumping off the shelf. So if you can, I know the gold one is kind of taxing, but at least pick you up the silver because it's definitely a collector's item. But anyhow, putting that melanated woman on that coin is telling you what's going on. It's the divine feminine energy is here. The wealth is through the woman. It's returned back through the proper bloodlines of the woman.
And that $20
no
bill.
Mistake. In the $20 bill, did they put what was it, Sister Harriet Tubman on there?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these things are not coincident. This lines up even with what's happening astrologically. And we talked about last week a September 23rd date when the woman was in the sky, and I said that symbolized the return of the divine feminine because all of the planets lined up with the shape of her body. Okay, so they know what time it is. You have to know what time it is to make it benefit you. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
We got a full blue moon coming up on the 31st with an eclipse. So,
I didn't even know about the eclipse.
Yeah.
Okay, family.
Yeah,
so,
2 full moons in a month.
So none of this stuff is coincidence. None of it. So, okay, we're going to go into this Lucifer stuff real quick. And this is just off Wikipedia. Just real quick. Lucifer is a name that, according to dictionaries of the English language, refers to the devil or the planet Venus when appearing as the morning star. As a name for the devil, the more common meaning in English, Lucifer, is the rendering of the Hebrew word in Isaiah 14th chapter, 12th verse, given in the King James Version. This Bible took the word from the Latin Vulgate, which translated by the Latin word Lucifer, meaning the morning star, the planet Venus, or as an adjective, light bringing.
Okay, I just have to interject. If you finished.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, 5777. What's the rise? Okay, so now the 101s of the Moors said that we're considered Lucifer. We are the star people. So, you get the connection? And the Pope and those guys have started singing and worshiping
Lucifer, yes. So I know what the 5777 means, but just for the family that may not know, what do you mean when you say 5777?
Well, it's the time that was given when the Anunnaki started time itself, and that is supposed to be when we are supposed to come back up out of the captivity that we're in and not knowing who we are. And right now there's a surge of people on the melanated side in this planet that knows who they are now. So Judah is supposed to rise because now is not Israel has said they're part of that lineage. And according to Wendell, that's when the calendar started back when they were here. They set the time. The Anunnaki did. I miss Wendell, though. And they set the time calendar, and the culmination of it is supposed to be 5777 when all this stuff will become what it's supposed to be. And
right.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sis. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, so now they're telling you who we are by saying Lucifer, because the Moors said that's what they see us as. And that's why they hate us so bad, because they see us as the bad person, the devil. And they have given that name, like it says in Psalms 83, they make us a reproach. And, not in Psalms 83, and a byword. So Lucifer has been made a reproach and a byword. So everybody is hating the word Lucifer. But they said in Psalms 83 they were going to not we weren't going to be a nation anymore. But now we're supposed to rise back up. And the Pope and all those guys already got on it. So you can, while you're talking, I'm like, hey, that's why they're choosing Oprah. Because she's the light bearer. Right.
The light bearer, which Lucifer, and I see you 727, Lucifer, a.k.a. Lucy, because the name Lucy is a derivative from Lucifer, a.k.a. Lucy. But either way it goes, it means light bearer. And continuing a little bit through that Wikipedia, it even went back and gave you the different translations, like in Greek, and I can't remember the other languages, but that Lucifer always meant light bearer and goddess. Okay, so let's be clear. Light bearer, goddess. Okay? And I don't know if you all ever heard the phrase that somebody's God is another man's devil. So do you get it? How it was all reversed?
Yeah, it was reversed.
Okay. So let me bring on 727. Let me see.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you?
Cheryl.
Greetings.
Hi. I am well. I hope everyone else is well. I just wanted to add something to, and I'm just coming on. Lucifer, the literal meaning is light bringer, and it's the word phosphorus. Phos, P-H-O-S-P, and Horus equal Lucifer, the light bringer. Phosphorus is a chemical compound, and it's hidden within each of our own DNA. It's what's essential for our life, and the phosphate is a component of DNA, RNA, and ATP. These all form our cell membranes. Simply put, it's phosphorus is what we humans would, that we're simply phosphorus. That's what gives us our consciousness. Our spiritual energy would not exist without it. Our DNA is phosphorus. That's Lucifer. That is how we become conscious to the world and who we are in order to live in the light. Lucifer is really just an allegory to describe phosphorus, which resides in our DNA. Phosphorus is a Greek word meaning light bringer. Just another something else for you to think about. In lieu of you're going into the Satan, which it's really light bringer. It's your upper and lower energies.
Mhm.
It is also, I heard you mention about the morning star and the planet Venus, which is the dawn bringer. Venus is the dawn bringer.
Absolutely, sis.
You
Absolutely.
can go into some of the Gnostic scriptures and get a better understanding of the Greek phosphorus is Lucifer. And it's all tied in with astronomy.
Yes. Yes. And I was trying to find the article that I ran across that broke down the science behind the phosphorus. I don't know what the heck happened to it. It was a very, very good article. If I run past it, I will make sure I cite it so you all can read it, because just as Sis Cheryl was giving us the insight, this article goes into details how it ties to the DNA, the RNA, etc. So if I can find it, I will give you that source as well. But yes, absolutely correct, sis. That's what made me hone in on your post, because I had just pulled that article and read that connection with the phosphorus. I'm like, wow, makes a lot of sense.
It's all within you.
Yep.
It's all you. You are God.
That's right.
You are the light. The light is your consciousness.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I'll continue listening.
Okay, sis. Thank you so much. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay, good. I'm glad sis came in and brought that. Because, yes, if I find that article, I'll cite it. Because it really, really broke it down with the science behind it. I think I just found it. Okay, let me go back.
You know what it also brings to mind, though?
Mm-hmm.
The Baphomet.
Yes. Did you want to give the family a little bit on that, brother?
Oh, it's basically the Capricorn, but it's also the divine feminine energy. And she has been used as the greatest scapegoat ever. That's the original scapegoat, the divine feminine. How everything evil was blamed on her. Now she was demonized and even made into a man. Thus Lucifer and Set, whatever name you want to use. It was the divine feminine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very good point. So,
but they're scared of the Baphomet. They're scared of the Baphomet and attribute that to the devil. But it's basically astrology. It's Capricorn.
That's exactly what it is. You can look at that symbol if you take away, shut down the religious dogma, and you actually look at the figure itself, you can see the symbols and signs that are even within that particular symbol per se, because it talks about the higher self, the lower self. It speaks of the yin and the yang. energies, as above, so below. It's all there. I know it has the moon. I think it has the sun depicted in there. And as you said, Brother Sean, Capricorn. So it's totally not what folks think that, that's their representation of the devil. It's them, again, harnessing the science / the energy. Now, that's not saying they don't use it for fucked up shit. Clear. But the real science behind it is not devilism and all of that. That's not what it is. Okay, very good point. Sure.
My son and I were just talking about this, and he sent me a text on of the Baal, which is the Baphomet symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And this is BA is barium. It's number 56, and AL is aluminum, number 13. So why do I say that? They're using these chemicals.
There you go.
In the chemtrails to try to kill us. So, the 11 and the 13, those are numbers, right? So
right. 11 is manifestation. What is 13?
13, I guess completion, because the Moors use that number.
It's hidden.
Okay. So they're using that to throw spells on us with their chemtrails, because this barium and this aluminum and plastic and a lot of other blood parts and everything trying to destroy us, because they're using the science of the magic of the Baphomet or the Baal.
Right. But as we talk, and as Sis Cheryl just eloquently stated, that chemical makeup is in you, is in each and every one of us. So you have the power and the energy to reverse that shit up and shut it right on down and keep it pushing.
I agree.
There's nothing that they can do to you that you can't shut down and goddamn do it to them.
But one thing that I found that was interesting, when they did the creation, according to the Lost Book of Enki, they used different compounds to create different species of man or humans. And that has been ringing out loud in how they identify everybody. And some of them are sulfur-based, I understand, but I'm not sure. I haven't went to the science of it. But some of them are sulfur-based and not like civilized man, because that is the God man, like really man that is God. And so, and then you get what's his name, Malcolm Begin. He was talking about that. They're the master race. That's what he says they are. The ones that's not Israel are the master race, because the rest of mankind was made with insects and all this kind of stuff. But they can't trace their DNA in that master race place they're trying to take over.
Yeah.
So and that's where the Anunnaki landed, right in that area. But they don't have that DNA there, and they can't find it either. So I just wanted to bring that up, because it depends on your makeup as to if you're human or man.
It's interesting about that Anunnaki. Dang, I'm gonna get there, family. I found the article. I'm gonna give you the source and just highlight real quick. But before I get there, want to address this Anunnaki stuff, because the verdict is still out on the Anunnaki. Are they real? Is it a fable? Is it some bullshit tied to the alien conspiracy / still religion? Okay, putting an entity or being that supposedly and allegedly created you, the divine being. Okay, so I do want to put that out there. So now, interestingly enough, I talked about last week the new Thor movie that I went to see, and it was all about the woman being knocked off her throne. Okay, and of course they made the woman, just as Brother Sean just said, vilified her even in the little Thor stuff, although she came back telling how the woman was knocked off her throne and how they went and made these treaties with their enemies and all agreed to hide the woman's true history. Okay, so interestingly enough, when because it was Thor's sister that came back kicking ass and taking names, so they had to bring one of her sidekicks who was in her army, which was a melanated woman, to help defeat her. So let's take note of that. Sorry, it's a spoiler alert to the movie, y'all. Okay, so let's make note of that. The men could not destroy her alone. She was too powerful. So they had to bring one of her sidekicks who was in the army with her to destroy her. So ultimately they destroyed the woman. But here's the part that got me. And Brother Wendell, I know he's busy or whatever, but he would have got a kick out of this. In the little movie, Thor loses his damn eye in the battle, the left eye. So I said, they must think I'm effing stupid. So he loses the left eye, and so after the little battle, they crowned him king, and he was sitting on this throne on his people that he saved. And the first thing that popped to my mind, this is the perpetual reality that keeps being created of the male deities being the fucking savior. This whole story of the Horus being the savior, being the warrior, same story played out. So they were putting it in your face, plain sight, on how the woman was defeated, that history hidden, and in the place of a divine feminine goddess deity, they switched out a male deity. Just in that movie, however long it was, an hour or whatever, 30 minutes, they showed you what was done in history. Okay? Which they keep trying to repeat that cycle. It's not going to happen, but that is what has been going on. So now, to me, a lot of that Anunnaki stuff, to me, was to bring in confusion and prop up a bunch of male-ass deities. Because even in their stories, the women played very, very subservient roles. And that's not possible if life stems from the woman. So now that's just my 2 cents. I did want to put that out there because a lot of people harp on that Anunnaki stuff. I have personally covered it myself, but that's by no means do I recognize them as the creator of humanity or gods themselves. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. If not, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Did you see that new Justice League movie?
My sister and I, we got that on the list. We just saw the Star Wars one, so we saw the previews for that, and we like, okay, we got to go see that. No.
Well, I just hold back until you see it.
Okay, I'll try to see it by next week. Then, yeah, that's on the list. I'm like, dang, how did I miss the previews for that?
It pretty much covers that same scenario. because the villain that they're fighting, he was imprisoned by the Amazons.
Okay.
He was the bad son, and he somehow managed to break out and brought back, a minion with him. But it was the divine feminine that was overthrown for him to get here. And, of course, Superman, the one who had to save the day. So there we go again with the alien.
Messiah complex. Yep.
Also
and
the alien.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely, Brother Sean.
I'm going to say, that's Wonder Woman. She's from the Earth. She's the Amazon. So we know that's the melanated woman.
Right.
And she has to be saved by this white alien.
Right. In her own shit now. Let's be clear. In her own shit that she can trace back her lineage generation to generation to generation, but she need, okay then. All right, Superman them. Okay. So yes.
Right.
And it's interesting, Brother Sean, because what I think they are really showing us in all of these superhero movies, I just saw the new Star Wars, and anybody that followed when we were doing the series on the Anunnaki, we tied in how Star Wars was nothing but a ripoff of Terra Papers, which goes into the whole Anunnaki stuff. Okay, so that's what Star Wars is. I mean, all the way down to the weapons. They got that shit straight out of Terra Papers. Okay, but anyhow, as you know, Star Wars is going on, and by the way, that's still the divine energy. Now, the new Star Wars is also showing you the battle of the divine feminine and the male force. That's what the whole entire movie is about. And the male force trying to get the divine feminine to join him on some bullshit, basically. And he needed that divine feminine to overthrow the other male energy that was in power. So I want y'all all to think about this closely. He could not defeat the other male entity deity by his goddamn self now, okay? So he brings in this strong divine feminine, okay, and was going to try to sweet talk her with a relationship, okay? But he winds up defeating the big power, then was trying to sweet talk her to join him to quote rule the dark side. So anyhow, once again, this movie is showing you the battle of that controlling of that divine feminine energy, because it is so powerful. And overall, to me, all of these movies, the Star Wars, the Marvel comic series, it is not so much about the aliens as showing you the powers that you have as the divine being, okay? And the battle overall is they're showing you the battles that have taken place and that are currently taking place on the spiritual realm and in the physical realm of this planet. They're not, now this is just my opinion, they're not showing you some shit in another realm. They're showing you the battle of this realm to control and continue to control Mama Earth, because she's the prize. Okay, so that's just something to think about. Okay, so this article, forgive me, family, my damn Mouse battery went dead. Okay, so the article that I found, and I don't know if this is the article that Sis Cheryl found her information on. It's called Patreon, Patreon. So it's Patreon, Patreon.com. And the title of the article is Lucifer is Phosphorus, Light Energy, essential for all life to exist. And so I'm not going to read it all because it's pretty extensive, but it gives a hell of a breakdown of the true meaning from a scientific / biological sense. So it's often said that we are beings of light. Let's delve into just how and why that is. This is going to be a tough spell to break, as most people have been indoctrined for eons to fear what we don't understand, without even understanding what it is that we fear, and without even understanding that we fear it. I always say, when you fear something, study it. The more you know about it, the less you fear it, because it's not the idea itself that is omnious, but rather your own lack of understanding. Lucifer is the most controversial and misunderstood terms and archetypes that are both out there, as well as within every living cell of life. This will be one of the longest articles that he's ever compiled. Okay, now I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can definitely go read it, and it's worth the read. Lucifer is Venus, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, and they're referring to that Beatles song, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, but they spelt it diamonds like demons, Daimons. She's feminine. Lucifer is simply the Latin translation of the Greek phosphorus. Origins of light-bearing Lucifer. Phosphorus, a noun. Substance or organisms that shines of itself. 1640s from Latin phosphorus, light bringing. Also the morning star, a sense attested in English from 1620. From Greek phosphorus, morning star, literally torch bearer. From phos, light. Contradiction of phos, light, daylight. Related to phenomenon, to show, to bring to light. Phosphorus, bearer, to carry. So then they also give the Greek breakdown again of phosphorus, a name meaning light bringer, is the morning star, the planet Venus in its morning appearance. And then it says another Greek name for morning star is Heliosphorus, meaning dawn bringer. The form Eophorus is sometimes met in English as it's from Eophorus, which is not actually found in Greek literature, but would be the form would have in some dialects. Let me see here. What else I wanted to bring? Oh, okay. This last part I wanted to bring. So it is an adjective. The Greek word is applied in the sense of light bringing to. For instance, the dawn, the god Dionysus, pine torches, the day, and in the sense of torch bearing, as in the epithet of several god and goddesses, especially Hecate, but also Artemis, Diana, and Hephaestus. I probably not pronouncing that right. Okay, so again, you can read the rest of this. It goes into a lot of the astrology Okay, you're even going to see some of the numerology in there also, and then it breaks down from a biological perspective and biochemistry. So again, the name of this article is Lucifer is Phosphorus Light Energy Essential for All Life to Exist. And this is off the website patreon.com, patreon.com. Okay, so I'll pause in case somebody want to put on it. If not, we'll move on. We have another call. Okay. Did Sis or Sean, you want to put something on before I go to the caller?
No, but I sent you the link from Sister Cheryl. I sent it to you.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sis. I'll once I put the video on, I'll go to that link and give it to the family. Okay, let me bring on 832. 832, your line is open.
Love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice.
Greetings.
Sister Rhonda.
Greetings, brother. How are you?
I'm fine, but you're not sounding too good. Has anybody told you about how horrible your line is sounding?
No. Nobody said anything.
You sounded distorted. Half the time you sounded muffled. I don't know what they're hearing over there, but out here, it's very distorted.
Okay,
So
I can switch over to
call back on another line or something, but for the last hour, you've been sounding muffled and crackled, like static.
Okay, I could definitely switch. So what's on your mind?
In the context of everything that I've been listening to, I'm pretty much in solidarity and agreement with you, but I would just like for you to contemplate, especially Sandra, I'd like to get her spin on. This thing is perpetuating white supremacy in a white female package. And we'd be it's very dangerous for us if we get pulled into this discussion, continuing to be utilized and manipulated as we have done, just like y'all discussed the O. Oprah and this whole phenomenon they were doing.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
This whole phenomenon of perpetuating the superiority of female. I don't necessarily like to get into any type of religious dogma, but in the scripture, when it was referencing the origins of Adam and Eve was in one being. As the Creator said, He created them, he and she, not one above the other, not one before the other. We are one flesh. And as Adam said, when he found himself to be alone in his experience, they took the womb of man, which is what the origins and the etymology of woman, took her from around his heart. That's what Adam's rib is about, is it not?
Okay, so now I'm getting ready to go in. So before I go in, I want to make sure you hear me clearly. Brother Sean or Sis, are you hearing muffled from me?
No.
Oh, you're tingly, but you're not muffled.
Okay, because I didn't want to switch. So now you made.
But on my end, you sound staticky, Rhonda.
Okay,
I don't know if anyone else is hearing.
No, everybody else is hearing me clearly. So.
Okay,
I
hear Sean and I hear Sandra crystal clear. You're the only one that I'm hearing with distortion. But that's okay. I'm listening.
Okay. All right, so I'm about to go in because you made the statement that the dogma is dangerous of putting one above the other, but yet you quote me dogma from the Bible as an example.
We are still talking in the context of other people's thoughts. I'm not agreeing with it or endorsing it. I am saying to you, trying to offer any type of position of superiority is almost the basis of evil. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying we are just putting another spin on someone else's crap. That doesn't make it better. It just makes it a different flavor of the same nonsense.
What has been raised above from the position of superiority? Be specific.
What has been raised above, you said?
Right. What on this program tonight has been positioned as one above
no,
the
I'm
other?
saying, don't, Rhonda, don't take it personal. It's not about personal.
It's
I'm just
not
talking
personal.
about a
I'm
perspective.
asking you
I'm
to clarify.
trying to answer you.
Okay, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I said we are one being, not one or the other, not one above the other, not one before the other.
That,
we are one. And if we are one, I'm trying to explain, if you let me speak. It takes two human beings to create a human being. It takes a father and a mother, not one or the other, right? When we listen to these people perpetuate this nonsense of test tube babies and sperm donors, you were pointing it out earlier when you were talking about lesbianism and LGBT and all this other kind of warped perversion that's being fostered in this society of decadence. Can we at least agree on that one thing if we're talking this stuff that we're talking about tonight? We are underneath a people who are demonic. Now, that's not me talking. That's them describing themselves. Now, we're going to take any philosophy from a demon-type individual. Of what merit is that? And they foster supremacy. Remember what you said about the Zionists? Remember what you said about the Zionists? That was Sanders that talked about the master race.
If I may stop you, put in about 15 things. I want to know what part are we using from demonic? That's the part I want clarity on.
Okay, all right. I'll use the example
that
she. Well, that's the example she used about whoever the Zionist she referenced. I think it was Menachem Begin. She was quoted. Was calling themselves the master race. Now, who advocates the philosophy of the Aryan master race? I believe it was Adolf Hitler, was it not? Now, what self-respecting Jew is going to go around pontificating about how they are master race when they claim, as they use the Holocaust to beat us over the head with every day, that the master race evil genius was Adolf Hitler? That's not hypocrisy? I'm only using that as an example about you can't go and embrace someone else's philosophy and put your brand on it and then say it's better because it comes from you when it's still of the same evil origin, is my point.
Right, but
and I'm not saying that you are personally. I'm not saying that you are personally advocating that. I am saying to you, just like, and let me apologize not to you or to that white woman. I'm gonna apologize to anyone who felt offended by the facts and the truth that I said the last time I talked to you. This is not about bashing Caucasoid European demons. This is about dealing with the truth. And while we are continuously oppressed by people who are insecure and inferior, I'm not making them inferior. They behave in an inferior fashion. Then they go create a false philosophy called white supremacy. Then they go around and espouse that they are the master race, just as Sandra pointed out tonight. Then they go to make themselves feel better. They must have then an inferior race to prove that they are the master race. That's kind of a bogus argument, isn't it? You are either superior or not. And by the way, I'm not advocating superiority. I'm just using this for a logical discussion. You either are what you are, or you're trying to convince yourself and others that you are something that you are not. And that is what white supremacy is. They are trying to convince the original people who we are, not suspect, that is a fact. They are trying to convince us, the original people, that we are less than the people who barely came from us. And I still question that, by the way. I'm not saying that they aren't human-like. I just question whether they have humanity, because they exhibit inhumane behavior. They believe in bestiality and kissing and loving animals more than a human being. Now, that's not me talking about them. That's them behaving the way they behave. And then we have the nerve, this is where the idiocy comes in, we have the nerve to equate ourselves to them. We're the fools. They know who they are. Hell, they know who we are. They have convinced us to be other than who we are. And that's the only thing that I'm pointing out. I'm not saying this to tear down what you're saying. I'm saying I personally, this is me, this is my 2 cents. I will not agree with people in supporting a philosophy of doing what, like the old colloquialism of 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay? I'm about trying to pursue truth and right behavior, not endorse evil and wrong behavior. And that's what they have convinced us to do after 5 centuries. They have convinced us through Christianity, through their God concept, through their philosophy of white supremacy, that the white man's ice is cold, that he is the authority of what is true. And now we have the most personification of the most insidious, invidious, and despicable individual in the White House, by the way, a terminology describing what black people built. As the center of the universe, there is nothing more important than Donald John Trump. And if you can't see that as the example of the personification of what is wrong with these Caucasoid European demons, I yield.
Okay, all right. So are you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, again, as I stated whenever that show was done, a couple of months ago, and I still state again, I am issuing an apology to that woman. So, for the simple fact, she had nothing to do with the way that you felt. Your attack was directly towards her. You specifically said, we don't need to be listening to her BS, blah, 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 and went on about Caucasoid, this, and that. That is why I issued that apology to that woman. She didn't deserve it. I felt it was humiliating, and that's not what I'm about. I would never want anybody to be humiliated unnecessarily. Now, you don't have to apologize. I'm apologizing because this is my platform and that's not how I roll. Now, you're entitled to your opinion. Those are your opinions, but I'm not about humiliating people, and I felt that humiliated that woman. I felt the sting. I don't like it, nor do I tolerate it. Now, you're certainly welcome to your opinion, but I'm just not on that. I'm sorry.
Rhonda, if I can respond to that, and I can agree with 100% of your perspective, because that is your perspective. But there is nothing more humiliating than how I, as a black man, am being treated every day of my existence in this society.
Okay, well,
now it might be a little bit more offensive to you for her to have revealed to her. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. The fact that, and this is what's always the problem when we have this kind of discussion in dealing with white folks, they are always elevated above what is the experience that we go through. And what really insinuates what is insidious and despicable and offensive to me is that we keep elevating what is important to them over what is happening to us. The reason we are being killed.
What white people were doing. That lady simply called in and gave advice. You could take it or leave it. You took it to the point of striking out at her.
I did not strike out at her, Rhonda. Now, Rhonda, your perspective does not take away the fact that I have described what is the condition we exist in as a people in this society. Now, white folks being offended by what they do, that's on them. That's not on me.
It is on you when you insult someone personally.
The truth is the truth, Rhonda. That is not about assault, insult. That's not about opinion. That's not about what people think. It is either a fact or it is not. And the fact remains.
You will not attack anyone on my show. I won't allow it with you. I'm not going to allow it with anyone else. It is the personal attack, not the information you were given. It was the personal attack against that woman.
let me tell you what a personal attack against me as a melanated man is.
Okay,
that's more effective.
I'm not. You know,
the attack on me is
I'm not going with that fuckery. Gone with it. I gave you your opportunity. This is not about your personal attack as a melanated man. Stay on topic. So, okay. Sorry about that, family. All right, so does anybody else have anything they want to put on that article before we move on?
What I'm wondering is, we're essentially talking about divine feminine energy. We're talking about energy, not the physical manifestation of anything. We know about the split from the androgynous being into being what we see as male and female. All of this is stuff we've been over many, many times.
Well, it appears that some people don't get that we've been over that many, many times, but go ahead. And
also, that book and this mysterious goddaddy stuff and all this stuff this nigga keeps saying. When do we endorse any of that? You say he's talking about endorsing other people's fuckery. I mean,
you know,
what was that?
Well,
wasn't that not a major endorsement?
No. Matter of fact, most of our comments are facetious and not intended to endorse any of that stuff. And that's why I said they say they are. It's not to say they are. I know better than that. And we do know better than that, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's a matter of history. It's not something we're endorsing. When I talked about Naughton Bay, and I was like, "Are you serious? They can't even find the DNA over there." I did say that. So I'm not endorsing him, and I'm not trying to say his point was valid by absolutely no stretch of the imagination. But it's a point that the world is looking at and living off of because they've given them all the credit for being God's chosen people, and that's not true. So that's what we're up against, and he's up against as a melanated man. They look at him as subhuman and try to put the glory to somebody else. And so by bringing that up, that he is not that person he says he was, that's what my intent was. Certainly not to give him that credit.
But they can't take credit for anything, whether we're talking about so-called good or evil. We were here first. We created everything.
That's right.
That's given that beast or devil or whatever that they choose to call them. That's giving them too much credit. You give them too much credit by calling them the devil.
Even thinking about them, right?
Yeah. I mean, to me, something that's irrelevant, I don't give energy to. I don't focus on it.
Agreed.
So I'm not going to sit up and continually give them power.
I agree.
I mean, we use certain things as an analogy to show where we are as a people or where we need to be.
That's right.
We use these analogies. This is because this is the paradigm that most of the people are coming from. So we have to use something that they can relate to in order to pull them in and wake them up.
Right. And it's a conversation.
If we just use terms and talk about things that is just completely above their head, they're not going to listen. You have to have something that people can relate to. You have to have a reference point.
Okay. All right then, sis and Brother Sean. Okay, well, thank you for that, because I still don't get it, what he was saying about what somebody is endorsing. So, you know, wish the brother well. He's certainly entitled to his opinion, but again, you just cannot attack innocent folks and make it personal, because it wasn't about that white lady. And I'll say it and I say it again, and that apology stands, and I'm not going to allow anyone to be attacked on my show. And I would defend him the same way I defended her. Black, white, green, red, purple, I don't give a fuck. So with that said, we'll move on. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I did want to go back to, because I didn't want to rush last week, and perfect example of what we were talking about last week when we really got into the science that Brother Aleem and Brother Natural Tahuti broke down the hidden truth of the black woman. They really got down into that science. So even with that whole bullshit ass concept of the woman coming out of the man, the real, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, because that's what it is. That is dogma. That's religious dogma. It is not accurate from a spiritual perspective. It is not accurate from a scientific perspective. Okay? So those two brothers broke down great biology background of the hidden truth of the black woman. That's a YouTube video. It's only 15 minutes. And another video was the secret science of the woman. Actually, that was part two parts to that. So the hidden truth of the black woman, and that's off of the YouTube channel Natural Tahuti. If you truly want to know the science of where life stems from, those are two excellent videos. They really broke it down very well. Okay, so the next one I wanted to say for tonight is still by Natural Tahuti, and he did a series. He split it up in 4 parts in 15-minute increments, and I kind of categorized it. This first clip is going to be on how he talks about the war on women, and we kind of been talking about this for the past 2 weeks, so he's going to break this down on the video, The Cosmic Mother. This is part 1. So this is off of, again, Natural Tahuti's channel. So hold on, family. I'm got to find a damn video. And I got to do it by hand because my mouse ain't working. So bear with me. Oh, shoot. Okay, sis or Sean, if y'all got something while I'm looking for it. This is taking me a little longer because I got to do it by hand. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this is The Cosmic Mother, Part 1. This is 14 minutes. Here we go. Natural Tahuti.
A movie you want to see? I got only a few copies. The Speed of Thought. The Speed of Thought, which is teaching you about the astral plane. He actually goes, able to communicate with somebody across the room, they meet on the astral plane, and he begins to teach them lessons on other techniques to do. And of course, the master of it was able to actually give people other thoughts who were not in tune. Get this movie, The Speed of Thought. Of course, you ain't gonna get it at the movie house or anything like that. The guy who played in the Terminator. We also have the previous classes that we did here on black sexuality. Me and Inky did, and we get ready for our 5th installment with this brother, Natural Tahuti. Brother did a great, excellent lecture at what was that school over here?
Malcolm.
Harriet Tubman. Excellent lecture on Harriet Tubman. And so did Ali Muhammad. They both did great, great lectures. But I saw at Tahuti things that I was talking about years ago, and I said, that's what we need. Wake up people, reawaken to the goddess energy, because women need more compassion, really. They are considered the weaker sex, but man itself is man and woman, really. But females are more emotional and all these other things, so we have to kind of help them along in their ego, in teaching them about the science of self, sexuality, as well as the man, okay, as well as the man. But the females really need more right now because of the thyroidism, hyperthyroid and hypothyroid problems. And so they have a lot of low self-worth, you know, killing themselves, drowning their babies and all that kind of stuff. You see all of that all the time, so that's why. And the goddess is where we all come from. I don't know about you. Some people get the cesarean. Crackers say, I don't want you coming out of the goddess's wormhole. You coming out as a Caesarean, Caesar's way. You gonna cut your ass out. Okay? So everybody didn't come here through the black hole. You gotta understand that. The black hole shapes your head like Akhenaten. That's called phrenology. Okay? Without further ado, because I can't wait to hear what this brother's gonna say. Here he is, my brother, Natural Tahuti. What's up, my brother? All right.
Brother, awesome. Thank you for inviting me here. And let me just reintroduce myself. My name is Natural Tahuti, a.k.a. the son of Sekhmet, a.k.a. the seed of Kalima. And I take on those titles of Sekhmet as the son of Sekhmet and the seed of Kalima because in the Nile Valley, Sekhmet, and over in the Indus Valley, Kali and Sekhmet is the same deity. Sekhmet is the great mother who comes in the form of a destroyer. She comes to lay it down. When there's dissatisfaction, she comes as a corrector. See, most of us think that females are only passive and submissive, but that's not true. And if you got a black woman, you know that's not true. They have two sides to them. They can be very vicious. If you attack a female's child, you will definitely see her other side. There has been women who have lifted whole trucks and cars to get her child from an accident up under those trucks. So she definitely has both the sun and the moon in her because she produces both. And when you look at the cosmology of ancient Kemet, you see from the goddess Nut, right from her womb, she is producing the sun. You see? So the goddess is time itself, and that's why the calendar and the clock was created according to the cycles of the woman. So I liken myself to the goddess Sekhmet and the goddess Kali as her son. Because I come from a school, I came out the nation of gods and earths, you know, the nation of Islam, and you know what their teachings are, that the black man is God. So I went with that teaching for a lot of years, right? And I have to say that it does produce that type of energy where, you know, the man becomes mastering over the woman. You know, I became so much involved in the egotism of I'm the God and the supreme being that I couldn't stand women that would try to like, you know, buck up against me. You know what I mean? She's got to be submissive, and that's no other way around it. But you know, as my, you know, during my journey, I started doing more research and more studying, and you know, I'm not a part of the nation anymore because my teachers have elevated, and they won't allow me to teach anything about ancient Kemet or anything of that nature in the nation. So I left the nation and got on this path. But somewhere about last year, I had a spiritual awakening to the goddess. And it happened that I went to the 5%ers Parliament, and there was a brother there that knows me, and he handed me a book called The Goddess Syndrome. He kept begging me, yo, brother, you gotta read this, because they know my beliefs that I teach that the black woman is God. So when I read it, the book appalled me because it was so denigrating to women.
What?
It was very denigrating. They said a goddess ain't nothing but a faggot. They said if the world had been all women, we would all be faggots. So and I said, this is crazy, because I remember that they had a teaching that the moon was separated from the earth. And at that time on the moon, it was all men. And so, before the woman came. And so they say that when the earth and moon separated, the weak men laid down, and from the explosion, their genitals went inward and upward, and their mammary glands came out. So this is a teaching, and some of them may try to deny it, but the teaching is still around. And matter of fact, the brother quoted it in the pamphlet called The Goddess Syndrome. So basically, he said that men who worship the women as goddess are weak men. So when that happened, I was kind of upset by the book. So I challenged the brother. I said, listen, this is garbage. Y'all teaching this? This is historically inaccurate, and it's scientifically inaccurate, metaphysically inaccurate. To say that the woman is secondary for most of it. This is all inaccurate, and we need to give this type of teaching a facelift, because we're living in a very dangerous time now. And on this planet, Europeans know about the goddess. That's why you have the Statue of Liberty out there in the ocean. And if you look at her crown, you'll see she's a sun goddess. You see? They know about this. And when you look at the justice system, you'll see that justice has a blindfold over her, because they blindfolded the woman. They subjugated the woman many, many years ago. Now, I just did a lecture in Virginia, and I talked about this, because a lot of times we like to throw the white man around as a scapegoat. We do not try to deal with the part of our history and what part we played. Because I said, well, listen, if we are the gods and goddesses of this planet and the masters of this universe, how did we let some teenage mutant ninja turtles come from the caves of Europe and come into our holy land and take our stuff and just did what they wanted to do, and now they're the masters of the planet? How did that happen? You see, how did that happen? If we are the mystical, the magical, the metaphysical, we all of these things, you just call it a Tootsie Roll. We're all of those good things wrapped up in one. So how did this happen? You see, I had to have more than the story that I was told by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that we made a devil and, we made him to show and prove that we was God. There was something more to this story than meets the eye. And so I did the research, and when I found out the first wars on the planet, they didn't happen between Europeans and Africans, because there were Africans on the planet. We were the only people here.
Right.
The first wars on the planet were between Africans and Africans, and they were gender wars. This is the part of our story we don't like to identify, because we have this romanticized version of our story. And a lot of us are still under the male patriarchy spell, so when you read our history books, we have some stories about the woman, but she's like little more than just his helpmate and some great mother that, helped in the village and stuff like that. But we don't hear the real roles of women and what they played. So these wars began in Egypt. Somewhere during the first dynasty, the matriarchy began to start turning over into a patriarchy during the rule of men. And up until around the 18th dynasty, men became, the priesthood became very corrupt, because we had some invasions going on, and they became very, very corrupt. The priesthood of Amen and the clans of Horus did something that never was done before for the first time on the planet, and that was they destroyed the temples of the Great Mother. And they began to start changing the cosmology around to reflect these male deities as opposed to the goddess, the organic goddess. Because when you deal with the male deities as the creator, it's a little inorganic because these gods have to resort to masturbating, ingesting the semen into his body for gestation in order to give birth to the universe. Whereas the goddess, this is organic. The universe comes right out of her womb. Because in the older cosmologies, they talk about the cosmic egg. You see? Which I'm going to show today. That's basically what I'm going to do today, is deal with these particular patterns in nature. So, let's get to this. The goddess Kali, as you can see right here, this is her Aryanized form. Okay? They tried to really vilify her. But Kali, the word Kali in itself means black. Okay? Or what word that was equal to the word black at that particular day and time. And you see she has a number of arms here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And under her, you see a male. There's a man that she has her foot on. And he is a white male. Right? So, in my interpretation of this, we are now living in the return of the goddess Kali. Kali has returned on the set, and she is here to destroy the white male patriarchy. Okay? Now, in the version of this story, this is her husband, Shiva. Okay? Because the planet was inhibited, or in other words, in the beginning, it was the goddess. And from the goddess, man, really I don't even like to say that word goddess, because goddess don't even come into the lexicon until around 1350. She's the god. A lot of people say, well, God is masculine, and I prove that's not true. But this is her husband, and this is Shiva. You see what I'm saying to you? And she is subduing her husband, and he has a drum somewhere right here because she's in such rage. That's why you see her tongue with the blood red. She is in such rage that she is only concerned with destroying. But she is also the most kindest, the most lovingest, and the most compassionate being in the universe. You see? But he has a drum here because in order to stop her from subduing the earth and just destroying it and obliterating it, he plays the music to calm her down and bring her back into memory. So let's go.
Okay, so that was the first part of, and that was off of the YouTube channel from Brother Natural to Hootie, and that was he's actually the speaker that's dropping the knowledge, and that's the first part of the video series, The Cosmic Mother. So I will pause in case Sis or Brother Sean, you want to put something on it. He dropped a lot in them little 14 minutes.
I do. I forgot, I wasn't feeling well last week, but he mentioned Goddess Kali. Isn't not the one that Trump? Excuse me for mentioning him again. Isn't that the one?
Stop.
know it. I'm a mess. But remember, he used her to start signing executive orders. He had her picture on the wall behind him.
You mean with all of the arms?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He had her back there. When he first got into office, he was using her image to sign his executive orders.
So once again, harnessing the divine feminine energy. And another thing I thought of, and I never thought of it until this brother was dropping the information in this particular video. You know that the state California, it is said, was named after a melanated woman, right? Cali, I think they said Kali. I could be wrong. I think it was Kali. Yeah, so I never equated that goddess deity with that being the name of California, and which, is also named Cali, off of the ruler, or yes, I think she was the owner of California. And I don't know how much of that region she was, that was part of her territory, but I did not realize that the connection between the two names.
Yep.
So
he's using all those energies to get his thing kick-started. Not that it's going anywhere.
Absolutely. And, what I like in this particular clip that he did, and we're going to go into the rest of it, because the rest of the clips he talks about the actual cleansing process that is going on with the new energies coming into play, meaning the age that we have moved into, and and we talked about this several times, the surge of the homosexuality, the transgenderism, etc. So we're going to get into how he's going to tie in what's going on today with that. But in this first video, what I also love that he made it clear, and I have to give props where props is due, because it does not happen enough that we as melanated people take ownership of what is in existence today. Okay? We overstand and understand the system of white supremacy. If you are melanated and you walk this motherfucking planet, you understand it, because you're living it day by day. Okay? You, your family, you get that very well. But and we're not excusing that, nor giving nobody no motherfucking pass, nor brushing shit up upon the rug, up under the rug, none of that. It's still being called out. We know what the fuck it is because we live it. But if you want to talk truth, talk all the way true. How did we even get to this point? To allow a system, a being, to overrule. How did it even get to that point? Whereas the original people, the caretakers, the owners of this plane, that's truth. Okay? You're going to tell it, God damn it, tell it all. Don't be one-sided. That's the only way you can overcome if you know what really happened. The first wars were among our own. We allowed the infiltration. Okay? So I do want to throw that out there, because not many times as melanated people, we speak on that. We get stuck in the system of white supremacy, because that is the pain, the wound that is still open. But how did we even get to that point? Did this energy, these beings, just wake up out of the motherfucking blue and conquer? No, it didn't happen that way. It was warring among the people. And those wars also included the male and the female. Okay, so I want to give props to that brother for definitely putting that out there. That's rare that we see that happen. I know another sister put that out there. I can't think of her name. She's a Moor, and she kind of dropped off the scene when she basically said that the Moors were warring with each other and were going behind the scenes, cutting deals and putting the Caucasians in power. And the Caucasians basically just took over. And supposedly she got a lot of slack for that and even death threats. Now, I don't know if that part was true. That's what somebody else told me that was in the mix with this particular sister, and she had to go underground. So shout out to... Go ahead on, brother.
Are you talking about Sister Yahweh?
That's exactly who I'm talking about. Yep, I could not think of her name. She put out some powerful shit.
Yes, you did.
And as a matter of fact, this brother Natural Tahuti that's dropping this science, I was trying to find him because I wanted him to come on the show. I want to chop it up with him behind the scenes. And then I wanted him to come on the show to get a little more insight of, what really made him start bringing out this information on the hidden woman. And then all of a sudden, as the energy works, I ran across another video saying that he got locked up for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. How fucking coincident? He got locked up with a group of brothers that he was hanging out with, was so happened over somebody's house, and a quote raid happened. And he got caught up in some shit. So I don't know specifically what happened, down to what were the charges and all that, this, that, and the third. But I just kind of sat there heartbroken because here's a brother that really put the knowledge out there about this hidden history of the woman. And he came from the Nation of Islam, the 5%ers, and he faced all that criticism from brothers about putting this information out, and then now all of a sudden he's locked up for, I think they said, either 10 to 30 years.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. So I'm saying all this to say, we as melanated people, stop bullshitting yourself. Okay? All of these systems, I don't give a goddamn if it's the Bible, if it's the Quran, if it's Allah, if it's this group, if it's that group. You better be very, very careful. Because a lot of them come with a lot of dogma. And any time you cannot follow your own calling, it's something fucking wrong with that. Anytime someone feels you are breaking the script, when you know it's bullshit and you're presenting facts, that is bullshit, it's something real wrong with that. So take inventory for yourself and do what you need to do for self. That is why every week I consistently say it is all about self. There is no Messiah coming to save you. You don't have to follow anybody's dogma, anybody's mantra. God damn it, I say that every week. That includes me. I am not here for nobody to fucking follow me. I am simply putting information out there. You take what you want, or hell, you don't have to take it at all. Because the responsibility lies with you. It is your soul, your energy. It is very sacred. It is and you guard it very well. So, okay, so I don't want to keep running my mouth. Let me step down off the soapbox. So we're going to get to part 2. This is The Cosmic Mother, and by Brother Natural Tahuti. So this one is 15 minutes, okay.
Now, this is another Aryanized form of the goddess. Most of the deities in India, you'll notice that they have been Aryanized. They look like Europeans, but never mind that. Even when you go to Greece and you look at those deities, never mind that, because Europeans did not invent them. They were invented by Africans, even in Rome, because the first Romans, the first Greeks were Africans. And all of those deities are synonymous with the deities of Africa. So when you see a European so-called deity, remember they are just Africans. So the Great Mother is this, and some of the oldest versions of her story, her name is Mami Wata. Mami Wata is the Voodoo version of the goddess, because Voodoo is the oldest spiritual system on the planet. Now, Voodoo is not what most people think it is. It is just your cosmic connection to the universe, your cosmic connection to nature. And when you are cosmically connected to nature, you are cosmically connected to Neter. You see? And Neter is mother. You see? A lot of people say, well, Neter is male and Neter is female. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. So, in this form of Kali, you see she has many heads. It says that Kali is portrayed mostly in 2 forms. The popular 4-arm form and the 10-arm Maha Kali. Meaning, Maha means great, okay? Because that's one of her names. She's the great mother. And the word Kali meaning black, so the great blackness. That's the mother. So, in both of her forms, she is described as being black in color, but is most often depicted as blue in popular Indian art. Her eyes are described as red with intoxication and in absolute rage. Her hair is shown disheveled, small fangs sometimes protrude out of her mouth, and her tongue is lolling. She is often shown naked or just wearing a skirt made of human arms and a gauntlet of human heads. She is also accompanied by serpents and a jackal while standing on a seemingly dead Shiva. Usually right foot to symbolize the more popular, what they call, you can't see that, that's a very hard Indian word to pronounce. I'll try the best. Dakshinamara, right? Which means this is her positive form. This is her form where she is all loving and compassionate. When you see her left foot forward, this is the form in which she comes as a destroyer. She is not concerned with anything but destroying. Anything that is outside of the natural balance of Mother Nature is to be destroyed. You see, she don't care if you're black, white, or candy stripe. When she comes to destroy. And this is what is in popular Islamic and Christianity when they talk about the wrath of Allah, and they talk about the day of judgment and all of that. This is what they're talking about. They're talking about the earthquakes. They're talking about the earth cleansing itself, because we're living in a day and time where the oceans are oppressed, the skies are oppressed, the air, the animals are oppressed, right? And all of the sentient beings, 8,400,000,000 or something like that million entities on the planet are being oppressed, even down to the mineral kingdom. The mineral kingdom is even being oppressed. We heard Dr. Sabi many a time, and my brother here, speak about inorganic plants and all of these genetically modified foods. Every facet of nature is being oppressed. And when you have this kind of consciousness going on, the body of the universe has to digest itself. It has to cleanse itself. The same like when a woman has her menstruation, she has to cleanse whatever toxins are in her body. And so this is what Kali is concerned with, the cleansing of this degenerate behavior that is going on planet Earth. Now, this is a rare photo of Kali. Before she was known as Kali, she was called Ma. You probably will never see this photo anywhere amongst the Hindus because these photos are they hide them. Okay? And as you can see, you see her African features, but even what's important also when you're looking at these deities is not just looking at the features, you got to look at the geometrical, the angles in which they are. Like if you look here, and then you see her arms, I want you to think about the Masonic symbol. You have the compass, and you have the square. You see? And inside of the compass and square, where they have the G, is the symbol of what is called the yoni. And the yoni is just a word that means the womb. Okay? Okay. In spite of her seemingly terrible form, Kali Ma is often considered the kindest and most loving of all Hindu goddesses, and she is regarded by her devotees as the mother of the whole universe. And because of her terrible form, she is also often seen as a great protector. You see? When the Bengali saint Ramakrishna once asked a devotee, why would one prefer to worship Mother over him? This devotee rhetorically replied, Maharaja, when they are in trouble, your devotees come running to you. But where do you run when you're in trouble? Ramakrishna, according to Ramakrishna, darkness is their ultimate mother. Now pay attention to that. That's very essential right there. Darkness is the ultimate mother, or Kali. I cannot pronounce his name. Sachi Da'ana. Indivisible reality, awareness, and bliss. The night sky between the stars is perfectly black. The waters of the ocean depths are the same. The infinite is always mysteriously dark. This embriating darkness is my beloved Kali. And that comes from Sri Ramakrishna. Okay? And that's very important because in all of our spiritual practices such as pranayama, meditation, tantra, this is what we're seeking to get in tune with, the darkness, the mother. This is the worship of the Great Mother. When you are in meditation, you are giving reverence to the Great Mother. When you close your eyes and pray and you're looking into that darkness, you are giving reverence to the Great Mother. You see? It's not a father because the father comes from the mother. This is why in popular religion, the male deity had to create from clay and mud and dust because he didn't have a womb. You see, only a mother can produce you from the darkness of her womb. You see? So, right here, this picture here, this is Sekhmet. And I like this particular picture because it gives us an idea of what Sekhmet is. Because a lot of people think that our ancestors were idol worshippers or animal worshippers. And all of that is so far from the truth. What we did was we utilized symbols throughout nature to symbolize a greater truth. These are allegorical things. But in this particular picture, Sekhmet gives you the ideal of what Kali and Sekhmet is. One of the things in the universe that is everywhere and nowhere at the same time is space. Space is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And space has the ability to produce more space. In every inch and component and atom and element of space, it has the inability to create more space. So space is infinite, is darkness, and it is the mother, my brother. You see? So this is why I particularly chose this particular cartoon, because it kind of illustrates exactly what Sekhmet and Kalimah is. Okay? Now, let's get a little deeper now. Imagine you toss an apple straight up into the air. Due to gravity, one would expect the apple to come right back down to earth. But what if it doesn't? What if, due to some unseen force, your apple continues going up at an accelerated rate? No matter how much gravity pleads and begs for the apple to come back down, could this really happen? Could there really be anti-gravity? On the scale of the universe, there is, say hello to dark energy. So, dark energy, again, let's go back a little bit, hold on. Right here, where the brother Ramakrishna says, my mother is the principle of consciousness. She is indivisible reality, awareness, and bliss. The night sky between the stars is perfectly black. You see? So, this is what we're talking about with dark energy, and when we're talking about the goddess, the great mother, that's all she is. Right? In a watered down version. Right? In the most basic sense, dark energy is akin to negative gravity. Where gravity is attractive, dark energy is repulsive. Dark energy causes the universe to expand at an increasing rate. For example, to a viewer on Earth, gravity would attract a distant galaxy towards Earth, but dark energy would cause the galaxy to move away from the Earth. Simultaneously, neither force can be directly seen. We detect gravity by observing the effect between two masses. We detect dark energy by measuring the expansion of the universe through the comparison of standard candles. Okay? So, dark energy is an energy that it's all pervading. It's all pervading. It pervades everything. And it repulses. It pulls away. You have dark energy and you have dark matter. Dark matter, which is another component of the Great Mother, is attractive. You see? One is pulling, one is pulling. I mean, one is going this way, one is going that way. But as they go this way, they create that balance in creation, right? But like I told a lot of people before, when they attack me on the woman is God, they say, well, what about duality? And I say to everyone, duality only exists within the reality of the Trinity. Our ancestors did not teach duality, they taught Trinity. In the Trinity creates the balance for duality. To give you a prime example, you have past, present, and future. Man, woman, child. You have up and down, right and left. You see? You can't have left or right without the and, because there has to be what is called a fulcrum point. So the and is the part that you can't see. It's invisible, what we call spirit or dark energy. You see? Like they say, yin and yang. But yin and yang has no balance without zen. You see? So the ancestors taught a trinity and not a duality. Duality exists within your ability to go within self and get in contact with your spiritual self, your inner self. And as you balance those forces within yourself, then duality becomes the reality of your existence. Everybody okay with that? Okay, let's move on. Now, nectar square, this here, the arm and the square. There was some big discrepancy whether Neter is a masculine principle. I said no. Neter is the symbol of the female. It is the great mother. Okay? But even more so, one brother showed, he showed a picture of this with a little man and a beard.
Okay, family. I know he getting deep and I know folks gonna get pissed when he talk about that Neter not being masculine. So I want to get to part 3, but I don't want to rush just in case sis or Brother Sean, you had something you wanted to put on it.
Yeah. Mommy water. I mean, it just goes to show you from the matriarchal to the patriarchal. Mm-hmm. The patriarchal would say we were formed out of dust. Then we know that our bodies is 70% or better water.
Water, that's right.
It's like Mother Earth. We are in the primordial waters. We're still in the water world.
Yep.
We're in the womb, which is
right.
The matrix. And as far as for that thing is inner earth beings, right along with that alien stuff, the only time I think we're inner earth beings is when we're in the womb, in the primordial waters, and then we come out on land. We turn from no damn fish into who we are.
Right.
Some damn fish came on the land, then became monkeys and then people.
Right.
The waters we came out of onto land was Mama's womb. We came up out of them primordial waters.
Absolutely. And when he named the oldest name, and when he said that Ma, I'm like, oh my goodness. Most folks, and I can't really speak for any other nationality, but I do know melanated folks, it's Ma. Ma this. Ma. I'm like, whoa. Okay. That's where that came from. Very, very interesting.
But if you think about it, though, that's mainly something that's indigenous to the Americas.
That's true. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
I mean, even though some of these brothers be dropping some good information, they still lightweight be losing me when they keep talking that Africa stuff. I mean, how you gonna really be tapped in and you don't know the truth pertaining this, that, or the other?
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm gonna try next week. I want to do the hidden history of the planet, and I just cannot, Brother Sean, get out of my mind that video you sent me about the pyramid. So I'm gonna try to incorporate that next week. But before I forget, because Sis Cheryl sent Brother Sean the source of the information that she was providing tonight, and it is Who is Lucifer? Shoot, I'm doing this touch screen. So it's Who is Lucifer is the video off of GnosticWarrior.com, I guess is the website. So that's the information if you want to listen to a little bit more in depth of what Sis Cheryl was dropping. Sis Sandra, did you have anything you want to put on part 2 before we jump into part 3? Okay.
Well,
she might
no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was looking at the Hindu part of it, and and I was hearing him say about the Vedas and all that kind of stuff. And they rewrote that history, I know, because they didn't have Sanskrit at the time the stuff came out, so when they were first established. So when they came up later and took over, they're just actually Canaanites, I believe he said it was, because I listened to a whole series on one of the professors about the Vedas and the Tamils and how they rewrote the whole history and wrote us out. So I did want to comment on that. And they didn't say what the Tamils were in the dissertation he was making, but he made a point that they were female. And sometimes, I mean, somehow that kind of fits with the fact that they actually killed them mercilessly to take over the whole the whole concept of Buddhism and stuff like that. So, and it may be women that they were able to subdue like that instead of men. Because I'm like, how did they kill them like that? And so, and when he said they were women, I said, yeah, well, that'll make sense.
Which goes back to what we have been talking about over the past couple weeks about the different wars that went on this planet. And now this was before you even had any other, we call them nationalities today, any other colors, races, nationalities, whatever you want to categorize. This went on before any of that came into existence. Okay, the warring of the originals.
Right.
Okay, so that was fitting into it.
That's true. But these people here were the Assyrians, I think, that came over and did that for these particular, the Tamils, I think that was their name. They're the Assyrians, and also the Assyrian Mongoloids that are here, as far as, the American Indian, came over later too and did their thing as well. So basically we're under a lot of Assyrians, as far as some of the history I've been learned, control. But, there was that weakness somewhere along the line that allowed us not to have the support that we needed to maintain.
Right, and it's interesting because even with that whole Assyrian stuff, that's also, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be jumbling shit up. That's tied also into the whole Anunnaki story and also.
Yeah, all those Egyptian gods and this, that or the other. I mean,
so I still say that it started with the warring of man against woman. It was overthrowing that matriarch system. And then the system of record became the male domination, the male deities, that Egyptian system stood that shit up. The Assyrian system stood that shit up, and they started making up the history. Because I think, who was it that went and destroyed the temples of the goddesses? I can't think of which Egyptian ruler did that.
But if you think about it, though, this is the same thing that they tell us today. The winner of the war is the one who gets to write history.
Absolutely. And we know that's how it happens. They write the history. His motherfucking story.
And that ain't got nothing to do with color either.
No. Let's make that clear. What we're trying to say, what the first wars
And they keep that battle alive even to this day. And there's levels to it. Because as we spoke about the homosexuality, this, that, and the other, isn't that these individuals struggling between their masculine and feminine being?
Yes, sir, they are.
I mean, there's levels to it.
It really is. It really is. Not being able to process the energies. Absolutely.
Right.
Everything in creation is that war. Every war is that the war against Mother Nature.
Absolutely.
Everything that their society, that the patriarchal society is about, is against. Is against everything feminine.
Yep. Yep.
And the patriarchal society, they prefer to even have sex with boys.
And that's something.
They choose everything and anything.
The weaker sex,
over
the boy.
It's that's how they control it.
Right.
They break them in early.
Right. And, you know, as we've been discussing, and not just over these 2 weeks, we've been discussing this for quite some time. It just really baffles me that folks see that there's nothing wrong with a patriarch society, but you live on a matriarch. That is not logical within itself. And not just the fact that it's a patriarch society, but you suppress the matriarch, and everything on this plane, on her, in her womb, is suffering. But yet, folks are trying to convince that it's supposed to be a patriarch society? No. Sorry, no. No. Again, I'm going to say, the balance of the scale are not balls. The balance of the scale is ma'at. It is that way for a reason. Okay, so it is going to be really, really interesting this particular year as we see things continue to unfold in the physical realm, because the energy is already here and the cleansing is happening. And either you're going to resonate and be in harmony, or you're just not going to make it. That don't have shit to do with you being a man, a woman, black, white, brown, purple. If you're not resonating on the correct frequency, you're not going to make it. It's not your time to make it. So, okay, let me get to the third video. Let me shut my damn mouth. Here we go.
And said, ancestor said, that's the man. And then he showed another one with a woman without the beard and said, that's the goddess. But I checked all of the pyramid texts and all of those things, and I've never, ever seen it written that way. It's always the Netta, and if it's Netaru, they have three poles with the fabric on it. Okay, because these poles represent, not only does it represent the Great Mother, it is a whole lot of stuff that it represents as well. Now, this arm is the individualization of the Netta. Now, I put this square here to show you that when you take the arm, the individualization, and place it with the Netta, what you're actually seeing is the fundamental basis of the Great Mother, which is a cube. Okay, that is a cube because you have the square here. This is a square. When you look at the dimensions of the arm here, you have what is a square. Okay, everybody cool with that? Or should I explain it more? Okay, now, this is a phenomenon that takes place because of dark energy and dark matter. Although, hypothetically, you cannot see it that way, but because of the dark energy and dark matter, we get these configurations throughout the universe, and what you will have from this square is a hole. They call it the dark black holes in the universe. Because of this energy pulling this way, one attracting this way, you have that balance that creates the square. So, we're getting into the fundamental ideal of nature on a grander scale in the universe. Now, from this here, the polyhedron is created from that pulling and pushing and the condensing of dark energy and dark matter. Okay? Now, this is what the ancestors was calling the cosmic egg. In pre-dynastic times, before there were any deities in the Nile Valley, you had the golden goose. You had the bird goddess. The bird goddess gave birth to the cosmic egg, or what they call the goose that cackles, the great cackler. Although the male patriarchy has changed the gander, the cackle to a gander, a male. But everybody should know that male ganders don't cackle. Only a female when she is laying the egg. So this is the ideal of what the ancestors are talking about as nectar, right? Because the nectar is the formation of a square. It's a cube. Okay, and I can give you some references on that. You can go and the Temple of Man. I can't remember the guy's name, but this is one of the fundamental ideals of what nature is. Now, let's go back. So, the cosmic egg, and I threw this in here to even show you the ideal of the Kaaba, because the Kaaba was there thousands of years before any Islamic people came on the planet. There was no Islam when our ancestors from Kush came over, crossed the Red Sea, and went there and built this up. They were worshiping the Great Mother, and this is a symbol of the Great Mother. It's a symbol because the blackness, when they put the fold over there, the dark energy and the dark matter, which forms the cube, and you see right here, that's a moon, giving you some understanding that they are worshiping the Great Mother. And what you see right here is the yoni, which is this right here, the yoni, which gives birth to the cosmic egg. So again, what I'm trying to show you is that nature, dark energy, dark matter, the square, the cube, polyhedron, the cosmic egg. So I'm giving you an idea of how our ancestors had understanding of the cosmology of the Great Mother. The reason a lot of times we don't see this information is because, again, the male patriarchy began to change the cosmology. And it was Africans that did it. They were the first ones to subjugate the woman. They did it in Egypt. During the 18th dynasty, the priesthood of Amen and the clans of Horus were the first people on the earth to forsake Mama. And this, in my opinion, is the reason why we're in the trouble that we're in. We have to repent, go back, and return back to Mother. If we don't return to Mother, we will perish along with the coming of the Great Mother and the destruction of the white male patriarchy. And Kali, again, she does not care if you're black, white, or candy striped. If you're not right with Mama, you are going to be destroyed when Kali does her destroying. And so when they're talking about the 2012 and the paradigm shifting, this is what they're talking about. The age of Aquarius is the age of the Great Mother. Go back to Dendora, look up on that ceiling, and you will see that Aquarius is a woman, not a man. Okay? And that water is dealing with the birth cycle. You see? Okay. So, now, out of that square, this is what it gives creation to. The cosmic egg, they come out as light. These are stars. Stars are born out of the darkness of the womb of space. Okay? This is an actual occurrence of a star coming into existence. The sun, the moon, the planets, all of them are shaped, not a round circle, but they are shaped like eggs. All of it is shaped like an egg. Okay? Here's the myth that we're talking about. In the Egyptian myth, the generation of the primordial egg takes place in what is known as the time of non-being. The sublime goose appears among the imperishable stars, cleaving the night sky with her great wings. While the world is still flooded by silence, the voice of the great cackler breaks the stillness, and she lays the egg containing the germs of life. Priestly reinterpretations turned the great cackler into a gander. However, it is clearly the female who cackles at the laying of an egg. Thus, the first Egyptian myths denote an original goddess creatrix. From her egg bursts forth a bird of celestial light. Okay? And there she is. This is pre-dynastic. This is before the gods and goddesses of Egypt. This is her, the bird goddess. Okay? The Great Mother. The primordial egg laid by a sacred bird in the watery abyss contains the germs of life and typifies the universal creation story. The cosmic matter from which the universe is formed comes from the various parts of the primordial egg. The precise details have been lost due to the change in religious orientation. Some Egyptian texts maintain that the primordial egg is formed by 8 creatures, male and female, with heads of frogs and snakes who swim in the waters of nothingness. Invisible because this Genesis takes place before the illumination of the world. So, those that are talking about Ptah, Atum is the creator of the universe are wrong. Ptah is not the creator of the universe. Ptah is the great representation of the mother. And I'll show you. In the languages of the Proto-Semitic languages, Hebrew and Arabic, they are cousins. And certain words have interchangeable letters. If you look at the Quran, the first surah of the Quran is Al-Fatiha. If you take away the A and the I, you will have the word Fatah. The P and the F are interchangeable in those languages. So Fatah becomes Ptah, the opening. Ptah is the only god, male god with a womb. He has a womb around his neck. And he is known as the representation of a male mother. So there is no male that can give birth to a universe without a womb. You see? This is why when they change the cosmology, you have men bent over backwards with long penises ingesting the semen in his own mouth. This is the divisiveness of the priesthood of Amen, who changed the cosmology to reflect the male rule as opposed to the mother. Because the first power system was spiritual, economics, right, and religious. Thank you. Right? But the men couldn't get around the law of the land. The law of the land said, in order to be king, it has to come from a mother. You see? But the women had the spiritual and economic power in those days and times. Women never seek to oppress the men. It's wrong to think that matriarchy is the opposite of patriarchy. That is far from the truth. Women never seek to oppress men. It was a great balance, because you have in life, in all of the species, 8 billion, 4 million entities on the earth. You have more female entities than there are males, and there are some species with no males at all, just females. And even in the human kingdom, there's always more females than there are men. So the great mother, and here's another lie, Imhotep was the first doctor. Garbage. Imhotep was not the first doctor. The first doctors were women, because they were the foragers who went around learning of the different properties of the plants. She was your first healer. She created the system of Voodoo. And Voodoo is your connection to the universe. It is your connection to Mother Nature. It is your connection to all of the different subtleties and different powers of the mother. Only a mother has the food in her body to feed her offspring. Man cannot do that. Although we do have mammary glands, which I'm going to show, most of the time they don't work. In some cases they do. So, okay. Now, the aura, this is the aura around the human body. What I'm going to do is just show you some patterns, right? Man and woman is a pattern. Just like you have waves on the ocean. Those are patterns. But you don't see what's causing the pattern. It's the wind. But what creates the wind? Because the wind is also a pattern. These are patterns of nature. Around the body, the aura is an electromagnetic field that surrounds the human body and every organism and object in the universe. Every organism and object in the universe has an aura. This auric egg emanates out from the body approximately 2 to 3 feet, 1 meter on average, on all sides. It extends above the head and below the feet into the ground. And depending upon your intuitiveness or the way you return back to your cosmic energy through meditation, pranayama, tantra, your aura can get bigger and bigger. It can go out 17 feet, 17 miles, I believe it is. It'll look like a spaceship. Okay, that's what they was calling what's the name of that? The Macabre. Okay, so what I'm just trying to show you is, again, in the subtle realm, again, there's that egg shape that we're talking about, the cosmic egg. Now, Mother Earth is also an egg. Introducing the oblate spheroid. Yes, the Earth is not shaped like a circle, but it's shaped like an oblate spheroid. An oblate spheroid is rationally symmetric ellipsoid, having a polar axis shorter than the diameter of the equator.
Okay, family. So we're not going to have time tonight. It was only one more video left in that particular series. Again, that's off of the YouTube channel, Natural Tahuti, and Natural Tahuti is the speaker throughout the videos, and the name of them are the Cosmic Mother. So we're going to run out of time, so I want to make sure we get in last words. Sis, you have any last words for the family?
I would like to say that brother was telling some secrets that I was on a call, and especially about the cube and the shape of the. I said, whoop. said, okay, I don't know if you say he got in trouble, but I can see what they wanted him to shut up. Yeah. I just wanted to say that the so-called Christ, that they say that we're supposed to, Jesus, they have lots of books they took out of the Bible, so we can't get the real points in it. Mm-hmm. But it's in Gospel of Peace, he says, thank your earthly mother who sent you her healing angels. Now, they tell in the script to honor your mother and your father. So I thought to myself, now, how come he didn't say father? And so when you look at all these basic belief systems that first started with the mother and the egg, the ovum shape, then that makes sense, because he even said.
Yes.
It's all said out there. It's just that they don't want you to know it. When they kiss that square, it's shaped like the ovum. Matter of fact, I said it should have been Henrietta Mabiff in that coffin, because they have that hidden so closely or so guardedly you won't even know that you're looking at the vulva of a female if you you look at it. So he was telling that, and I think I got upset with him on that, because that's their guarded secret.
Absolutely. The woman is the hidden secret, and I was talking to a sis. We were talking about the Da Vinci Code, and even that movie was telling you the hidden secret was the woman. So rewatch that movie, because I read the book. That's really what it's about. So we're about to almost run out of time. So I want Brother Sean to, that's okay, sis. I didn't mean to stop you, but I wanted Brother Sean to get a chance. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
I'll just say to you, there's a trinity of cubes in the Justice League movie, too. And coincidentally,